I appreciate what you just said about you followed the process. But my bigger question is this administration been following the process? There's been a whole range of different areas where we've seen issues, issues with finance, issues with personnel, a whole range of different things. The budget presentation is another example, and it's maybe another follow-up question about the idea of having the first selectman come to you with a budget that hasn't been, you know, completed in essence. So what are your thoughts coming in and seeing? I mean, you must be aware of so many different situations where process hasn't been properly followed. Tax rebate issues, whole bunch of different things.
Yes, and yes, I've read Good Morning Wilton and other local rags for years about the status of issues in town, whether it's finance, whether it's additions to staff at police and fire, whether it's apartment buildings. I'm familiar with those issues. And yes, when I was most of my career, I oversaw corporate governance at large public and private corporations. And process and protocols appear to be lacking in town hall. Whether it's, oh, let me just send the checks out. Did somebody approve it? Do I have authority to send the checks out? That mindset about process and protocol needs to certainly be improved. Um, the condition of the finance department, we're trying to get our hands around that. I was very disappointed at the last meeting where I asked when we could expect a report from the interim CFO and was told it's not ready yet. And then I asked for a guess, and it couldn't even be a guess as to when we might get that. That's beyond disappointing. I think, the headlines coming out of finance seem to be unending. And when you talk about residents, I've been knocking on doors as part of the campaign, as we're apt to do. And in 99% of the cases, it's, taxes, taxes, taxes. And to me, the overhang of the 150 million or so that has to be growing every day of infrastructure problems. And you throw in on that a lack of confidence in the finance department, and it is a more than terrible situation that we need to address. I've been part of the CFO and the town administrator search committees. We have very good candidates for CFO, and that is very encouraging. We've been told we have a new controller who may start next week. So things are, which also goes to reflect some of the discussion from last night about who hires whom, who's getting hired, and where are they coming from. I think all of that process needs to be looked at by the selectmen as a group and see what we can suggest to the first select person. I've taken a quick look, as a lawyer is apt to look at the town charter. The first select person has a lot of power under the charter. At an event a month or so ago, I met the police chief, and he said, "I want you to come over and have a coffee, and I'll take you through the new headquarters." And I was admonished that I needed to run that by the first select woman because she wants to know when you're talking to other department heads, because the town charter says that she's the only one that can, direct department heads. So I thought that was a very expansive reading of that provision. And she had encouraged us to go see the police chief, so I did. And but there's all these intricacies the balance of power, I think, between the four selectmen and the first select person is not what some people think it is. The power to control the agenda and to control the affairs of the town um, really is in the first select person's office. And in many ways, it's becoming clear that we act in a advisory capacity. Now, having been a senior officer of private and public corporations, I'm not going to be a shrinking violet and not express my opinions when they need to be expressed. And where change may be needed, required improvement to process, continuous and never-ending improvement is possible. I would like to bring that forward.